The questions that I'm constantly always asked is, what is the best way to motivate and inspire people? And my answer is generally always the same. It's just exposure, exposing them to more, right? I personally think that the reason why most people don't aspire to do more in life is only because they haven't been exposed to more. They may have seen more in life, but they haven't been exposed to people that are doing more that came from a similar background to them. That's why my power and a half hour calls every single week. First thing that I do is I always start off by profiling two or three people. And generally, what I do is I just find stories of people that came from backgrounds that, were essentially they had nothing. They had maybe very, very little, and they were able to create massive, massive success. Like this week, two of the people that I talked about, and I do it every week, and I've done over 120 calls. So, you know, I probably profiled at least, and generally I profile like two to three people every week. So I've profiled at least two, three, 400 people, and all of them have the same story. They started off with absolutely nothing or very little. Some of them may have had a little bit of money and they were able to create massive success. Like this week, the two people that I profiled was a guy named Jim Morrell that started his business, a restaurant, basically because he took his kids' college fund money. His kids didn't want to go to college, so he took their money and with their permission, of course, because they didn't want to go to college. And he said, "Hey, you know what? If you guys don't want to go to college, let's not waste this money on going to college and you don't want to go. Let's take this money and start a restaurant." And that's exactly what they did. And they started with a little bit less than $70,000. They started Five Guys burger restaurant, and now they have over 1,000 locations. The business itself is worth over $500 million, and each one of his boys are multimillionaires now. And like I said, they just started with their college tuition fund. Second guy that I profiled in today's call, on my call that I did this week, is a guy that came to America from India on a PhD program. When he came to America, he came with $900, right? He came with two suitcases and $900. And one of the first things that he recalls seeing when he came to America, he went to the University of Texas at Austin. He said that he saw a Vietnamese family that were selling, what would be classified as street food in different stalls all throughout the campus, and they were making a lot of money. And once this guy was exposed to that, it completely changed his whole entire trajectory because he came to America to join up probably in this to be a part of this PhD program. And I'm sure after he was finished, he was gonna probably go back to India and become a doctor or whatever. And that's not what he did. That's not what he ended up doing. Once he saw this Vietnamese family making street food and selling it and making a lot of money, it just like opened him up to the fact that, you know what, this country, if you apply yourself, you have big dreams and go after your dreams, you can actually make it happen in anything. And then the next thing that he did was he went out to Silicon Valley one summer, and then that was during the time of the tech startup boom, and all these companies were making all this money, and that really inspired him. And that guy, after he graduated, he changed his degree to computer engineering. He was an engineer for a number of years, worked for Oracle for a few years, and after he graduated, he ended up starting his own business. After working for about 8 or 9 years or whatever. In 2009, he started a business, and within 4 years, right? I think the guy started with a little bit less than $100,000. This money that he had saved up all the years that he had been working, and within 4 years, right? 2009, he started his company, less than 100 grand. Within 4 years, it was worth $1 billion. Today, that company, 7 years or 8 years after he started, is worth $4.5 billion, right? And here's the thing: the reason, I have to say, a large part of the reason why this guy was successful is because he just exposed himself to different things. He saw all these companies that were making tons and tons of money, and then he said to himself, why can't I do the same as well? When I think about kids in the inner city, kids maybe that are in bad neighborhoods, that are doing things that they probably shouldn't, even like people that I know that sell drugs, that do things that they probably shouldn't. I personally just don't think that people wake up one day and say, you know what, I want to sell drugs. This is just what I want to do. I think people think that that's what they want to do, but that's not really it. The reason why most people do that is because they want a little bit more out of life, and that's the only option that they see. They don't see themselves being able to make a bunch of money doing anything else. And to me, if you're a successful drug dealer, you could be successful doing anything else and probably be a lot safer as well, because you don't have the police coming at you, you don't have rival drug dealers coming at you. You don't have your customers trying to come at you to try to take your product. So to me, if you can become a successful drug dealer, then you could learn how to be successful doing anything else. The only reason why most people sell drugs or do illegal things is because deep down inside they feel that that's the only option that they have. And if they were exposed to more, if they were able to see more, see other people that look like them doing more, then they wouldn't do that. They wouldn't do that. Yeah, they probably see other people that are successful, but they start telling themselves all these stories about how, well, the only reason why that person's able to do it is because, he came from the right side of the tracks. His family started him. He had a whole bunch of money. His dad or his uncle or his mom gave him all this money to start, and that's generally not the case. I've said this time and time again. 75% of the world's richest people are all self-made. They started off with absolutely nothing and worked their way up. And the problem is that uh, most people that need to know this information don't know this information. They're just not exposed to this information. So they believe that the only way for them to become rich and successful is to either become a ball player, to become a rapper, or to sell drugs. And if you have no athletic ability and you're not too musically inclined, then the only thing that's left is for you to sell drugs or to do something illegal. And I just really wish that more people would realize that that's probably the hardest way to make a whole lot of money. There's too many easy ways to make money because you got people that come here from another country. You can't even speak the language when they come here. And within a short period of time, just because the country that they were from, there were no opportunities. Um, there were just no opportunities. And they come here and they look at this place as a land of opportunities. As long as you are able to dream big and put in a whole lot of work, you can make anything of it. You can do anything that you want to do. So the thing that I think that most people need, and whether it be children or adults, same thing with adults. I look at a lot of adults and see a lot of people just living average, marginal lives. And the only reason why they're doing that is because deep down inside, they really don't believe that they can do any more. They're going to say all kinds of different things, but I've talked to thousands, hundreds of people all over the world, probably thousands of people all over the world. And deep down inside, the people that I see that aren't doing much, just deep down, really don't believe that they can. They'll say something else. They'll make up all sorts of excuses, but deep down inside, they just don't believe that they can do any more. And I just really, truly believe that if people really saw enough people that looked like them, that came from similar backgrounds as them, that ended up becoming very, very successful, after a while, after you start seeing enough of these stories, then you're going to start to ask yourself some really serious questions. You're going to start to ask yourself, well, why can't I do it? If that person did it, why can't I do it? That person had a lot less than me. Why can't I do it? And then you start asking yourself that enough times, you're going to start looking at the strategies and techniques that those people use to become successful, and then you will start implementing some of those techniques into your lives. And if you don't, it just means that you still don't believe that you actually can. Because to me, if someone told me that there was $1 million a mile away from where I was at right now, and I knew that I could physically walk to go get that $1 million, I'm going to do it. I think any of us would, right? The only reason why we would not do it is because we just don't think that we can make that walk, or we don't think that the money is there. But if you knew it was really there and you knew you were physically able to go and to walk and to make it happen, you would go collect the money. And same thing with life. If you knew that you could be successful at anything that you put your mind to doing, you would actually do it. You would go and do it. Anybody would, right? We would all do it. So exposure, it's all about exposure. If you're a person that's watching this video right now and you find yourself struggling to increase your belief or to do the things that you need to do, first thing that I always suggest to anyone is just start exposing yourself to more. Start seeing more. Start looking for people that started off with nothing. Just go to Google and type out success stories, people that started from nothing and that were able to work their way up. And trust me, you'll find tons of them. Listen to my calls. Listen to my Power and a Half. Go to my website, www.powerhh.com. And if you listen to any of the episodes, go back the first 10 minutes, 10, 15 minutes of every episode is me just telling stories, profiling different people that have become successful that started off with very little. You hear enough of those stories, you see what all those people went through and how they were able to create massive success, you'll start to believe that you can do it as well. All right?